First I have to ask you, the audience, who have a question or a suggestion to his request. Okay, because otherwise it's nice that the next company that will give a talk is WaveOptics, also expert in waveguides. So it's a nice organization of the talks here. And we have Arseny.
Thank you for the introduction. Just before I show my presentation, could I ask this, Felix, are you working on curved waveguides? And what's your opinion on the need of curved waveguides for the AR market?
Okay, thank you. Of course, that's some kind of dream for the AR devices. So if you would have a waveguide with curved surface, so and with the substantial optical performance also, so that could be something everybody would be happy. Of course, to be honest, we don't have a full solution today. It might take some time, but of course that's something we keep on our mind and think forward how that could be produced.
Thank you.
May I add here something? Paul Hartmann from UNM Research. So we can maybe help a little bit out, because we do have a grayscale lithography, which is also able to produce micro-optics on curved surfaces with specific tools. So if you have a need in that direction, please give me a message.
Yeah, thank you.
That's very nice. Thank you so much. So can you start the sharing again, Arseny?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So it's a pleasure to be part of this meeting. So my name is Arseny Alexeev. I'm head of research and processes at WaveOptics. And let me just briefly introduce the company to you. So we design and we manufacture waveguides and light engines. And those are the two key components for every AR headset. We are semi-fabless in terms that for certain manufacturing stages, we rely on our partners. The company started trading in 2014. Up to date, we raised in excess of $60 million in funding. We're 108 people at the moment, and we have specialists in different fields of nanophotonics and micro-optics. We've got a modeling team, which is designing our waveguides, and we use in-house developed tools, including some advanced ray tracers. We've got fabrication specialists who work with our manufacturing partners, quite often doing R&D at their facilities. We've got metrology specialists, and we developed our own tools and techniques, which I will cover at the end of the presentation. And we also have on-site optical labs with extensive optical testing of our waveguides and light engines, and NPI facility where we do prototyping of our light engines, and we also assemble light engines and waveguides into headsets and modules. So our headquarters are based in Oxfordshire in the UK, but we have commercial presentation both in North America and in Asia. In terms of our product line, on the slide you can see different waveguides which we manufacture and supply. We define them by the field of view, so you can see our three main products, which are called Katana, Vulcan, and Odin. Katana is our smallest field of view solution, 28 degrees, but it's a single plate waveguide and a full color as well. And then Odin is our new product, which is 55 degrees of view. It's a 3-plate solution, full color, large field of view. And you can also see other characteristics of our waveguides on the screen. So our waveguides are always paired with our light engines. So you can see light engine solutions which we have. They correspond to the same field of view as our waveguides have. 28 degrees field of view light engine Mars, 40 degrees projector Saturn, 55 degrees projection Pluto. And our light engines are fully optimized to work with our waveguides, creating an optimal solution for our customers. I would like to talk a bit about our manufacturing cycle. So we fabricate waveguides using nano-imprint lithography. We were partners with EVGroup for this. We do this on 200 and 300 millimeter wafers. After this, the whole wafer is optically coated to enhance performance. Then we laser cut them into individual waveguides, assemble them together. We use edge blackening to reduce unwanted effects coming from the edge of the waveguides. And finally, they go through extensive characterization at our facilities. So in terms of our light engines, we partner with ODMs and OEMs to fabricate our light engines, but we also have NPI facility on site, as I mentioned, where we do prototypes of the light engines, and also we assemble demo headsets and modules for our customers at the same facility. Coming to the end of my presentation, just to answer two questions which Epic asked. This is what we can offer to our partners and customers. The first item is co-development. We do a lot of work together with our resin suppliers and glass suppliers in terms of bring up of new processes. And the same applies to light engines. We do extensive R&D with our partners to develop new prototypes of light engines. So the second item which we can offer is advanced metrology, and I think this is a topic which was covered in previous Epic meetings, because nanophotonics and micro-optics requires new solutions and different type of tools to control quality of the final parts. This can be very challenging because, as I mentioned, we work also with nanophotonic structures. So our structures, some of our structures are below 100 nanometers. And this is really challenging for any metrologist. So you can see the list of the tools which we developed over the years. We do extensive characterization with SCM, IFM on the nanoscale of non-conducting samples with very high accuracy. We also have tools for chemical characterization. We do advanced ellipsometry, extracting refractive indexes at nanoscale. And also we have some advanced optical metrology also allowing us extract critical dimension in nanometer or even in picometer scale. And of course, for our customers, we offer our products, which are waveguides and light engines, because we don't aim to build the final consumer headsets, but we aim to be the supplier of the key components for our customers. And the last slide, this is my wish list. So basically, this is what we're interested in from the community. I'll just go item by item. So nano-imprint resins with confirmed uniformity of refractive properties on the nanometer scale. That's something which we're interested in. High refractive nano-imprint resins with refractive index above 1.9. Solvent-free low viscosity resins with refractive index above 1.7. Curved glass and nano-replication on curved surfaces. Large silicon molds for nano-replication on 8 and 12-inch wafers. This is quite challenging because the density of our structures is high. We cover a big area of the whole wafer, but the resolution which we require is below 50 nanometers. So it's a very challenging to fabricate such kind of masters. And finally, in terms of light engines, of course, we're interested in advanced optics for them. As usual, smaller size, more lumens, less power consumption, and we're interested in different solutions. For instance, metamaterial-based lenses are one of our interests in this field. So with this, I come to the end of my presentation.
That was fantastic, Arseny. I mean, I really wish when a company comes to an Epic meeting and tell us, this is my shopping list, this is my Santa Claus Christmas card. I think you have a lot of things that people can cover. So let's have a nice discussion after the two Racing Stars displays and WaveOptics. Let's have a nice discussion. I think we have a few questions here. Simon from Jabil.
Hi, Jose. Yes, I have one question. What's the form factor of your light engines at the moment?
I mean, it depends what kind of details you're interested in. Right now they're small, so we put them into our demo headsets, either at front or at the side, and they quite naturally integrate into them. I mean, I don't know what exactly you want to know, like volume or
XYZ dimensions.
I suggest you go onto our website because we openly publish detailed specs of all our products. And if you still have any questions, you can just contact me over the email, and I'll put you in touch with the right person to answer these questions.
Perfect. I sent you a chat message. I sent you my email address so you can respond so I can find yours.
Yes, sure.
Thank you.
Arseny, I really love your challenges. Let's start with the one on the fabrication of the masters. You're looking for 8 to 12 inches with a resolution below 50 nanometers. So there are different ways of getting there. I would like to ask Nanoscribe. Jochen, how are you doing today?
Fine, thank you.
How are things in Karlsruhe? I cannot wait. We're going to have the epic meeting on advanced micro-optics manufacturing in November at the new building, amazing new building of Nanoscribe.
It is, yeah. I was hoping we could have it earlier, but of course the situation is not.
I heard there is a virus going around. I don't know.
Well, something like that, but yeah. I don't think we need to worry much longer about.
Can you help my friend Arseny with the masters?
So that depends on what exactly is needed. I mean, is the 50 nanometer, is that the smallest features? Is this the position accuracy? What are we talking about here?
This is the smallest feature, and we are sensitive to, so the tolerance on this feature would be plus minus 5 nanometers.
Okay, so currently the smallest features that we would be able to manufacture is 160 nanometers. So that's quite a bit off there. I think probably in the future with going to different laser sources, two photon polymerization might offer a chance for that. But right now, I'm afraid going much smaller than 160 nanometers would not be possible for us.
Martin, you have been called upon during the presentation a couple of times. Of course, you are providing the nanoimpel solution to WaveOptics. I think this is public domain. Martin, what is currently the status on mold making to satisfy this crazy 50 nanometer resolution?
Actually, it's progressing very nicely, and we will see in my presentation a little bit about it. However, I think what Arseny is referring to is rather he wants a real solid master and not on what we are doing is step and repeat polymer on wafers, and this is working very well and can be used for the replication. However, I think you want a direct writing method. Am I correct, Arseny?
Yeah, that's correct, because that's obviously another solution which allows to eliminate additional processing steps. Although your step and repeat process is nice, of course, we're also looking at other ways and we're doing other R&D, and this is one of the ideas we had around. So, so you're correct. We're also interested to try large silicon masters.
Arseny, let me introduce to a friend of mine from the UK, Stephanie from Oxford. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. So hi, Arseny. Questions for you again on the 8-inch, 12-inch. So first of all, obviously we do etching equipment, so we don't actually do lithography. But in terms of depth uniformity, what are you after for the 8-inch and 12-inch? And also, what is currently the ratio of 8-inch versus 12-inch in your line? And how do you see that evolve over the years?
So in terms of the ratio, I would not be able to give you this information because it's confidential. But I can answer the first question in terms of the uniformity around the wafer. We would be looking at the uniformity below 10 nanometers.
Okay. So, and that would be mainly in silicon or silicon dioxide as well?
I mean, because it's we're talking about a master mold, it's it should be compatible with the nano-imprint lithography, but EVG can give more details on this. But to the best of my knowledge, it can be silicon dioxide, can be quartz, even some metals may be possible, but I'm not an expert in this field.
Martin, give us details. This is really interesting.
So basically what we want to have to replicate, we want to have the best quality. We take any material where you can provide the structure Arseny wants to have. Maybe we can combine it also, imprint, make a solid master, and go back into the line. Maybe we can find a way with combining 3 parties. Let's discuss.
Okay. So would you see a need for like deposition technique then after after etching the structure?
Yes, we use anti-sticking layers. That's quite common in the industry after that, but that's developed basically. So if you have a silicon hard master, or you can etch into silicon the structures, then we are fine. I think one challenge is definitely scaling to the 300 millimeter very uniform.
Yeah, that's why we focus on 200 mil for our current product, and it's the question is how fast are we going to shift to 300 mil?
This is not the question to me, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's move on. Arseny, in your presentation, you also talk about active optical components, and you were talking about smaller size, more lumens, less power consumption. Very often, this is an issue of packaging, packaging with the right detector, or the right LED, or the right pixel, with the right micro optics. Is there any activity that you have going on there? Are you looking for partners on this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're doing quite a lot of R&D in terms of light engines, and it starts with the basic components, panels, lenses, LEDs themselves. And
let me find you another partner here, because I have a company, Icon Photonics. Carlos Viana, how are you doing today? Carlos, we cannot hear you, and you have such a beautiful voice. Let's try to unmute you, because Carlos has a really, really cool amazing way of doing the wafer level packaging of optic components and micro optics. It's one of the most exciting things I have seen lately as a startup in Europe. Carlos, can we hear you now? I'm going to get back to you a bit later in the show, because right now we have this audio problem. I want to get back to you later, and I want to move on with the program. But first, I wanted to thank Arseny, because that was perfect. That was what EPIC is about. You seem to know very well what EPIC is, so I hope that eventually we have WaveOptics as a member of EPIC. You know, that's very high up in my Santa Claus, my own Santa Claus wish list. We go to perhaps one of my favorite companies, because I'm a geek and I learned how to design optics using Zemax. So I really am very happy whenever I introduce somebody from Zemax at an EPIC event. But Chris and I have been discussing about the new tool for the AR/VR sector that Zemax is putting in the market. We talk about the straight light quite a bit, and Chris is here to tell us how it can help the whole community. Thank you very much for being with us. The floor and the attention of everyone is yours.
Thank you very much. Just give me 1 second. Should be able to see that.
We are almost there. Yes, we are there.
You got that. Great.
Yes.
Well, thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet so many new faces. Yeah, I'm from Zemax, and obviously we're a little bit away from some of the things you've been talking about, some of the kind of the manufacturing stages, the complete products. So it's really interesting for me to hear all these kind of points of view and these considerations. So I tried to, I'll just do a brief overview for those of you that aren't aware of us. So obviously we're Zemax, we're an optical design, modeling and analysis company, a software company. And we've got this portfolio of products. Optics Studio is a ray tracing package for modeling, designing refractive, diffractive, and reflective optical components and systems, designing, optimizing, tolerancing them. Optics Builder allows you to then take your designs and pull them directly, flawlessly into a CAD package and build all your kind of mechanics and optomechanics around it and understand the impacts in a kind of closed loop with the optical design. And then Optics Viewer allows you to also share those insights with, for example, manufacturing production engineers who may be part of the production and testing process. So in this stage, because I thought it was most appropriate for this this talk, I just look at the kind of design and the what Zemax can offer in terms of the design part and the Optics Studio section of our portfolio. So it's interesting because I know a lot of the input we get at the moment is handling things like waveguides, diffraction efficiencies, entrance pupil expansion, as we've discussed before, within waveguides, kind of diffractive optics. But I thought I'd try and look at the freeform, as that was the title of the session. So obviously with freeform optics, the first thing with designing is the flexible characterization of components. So we have various tools in there. So we have standard parametric models defined by polynomials, where you can define kind of interesting surface shapes, extended XY polynomials, 4Q freeform ones coming up, off-axis extended polynomials, Zernicas, which are still quite popular as well. So these are fast and robust methodologies. We've also brought through a thing called True Freeform in one of our most recent releases. So this allows you to create some really novel surface and optical component shapes. So rather than relying on a kind of parametric or polynomial description, it's a grid-based model. So overlaying any standard surface shape, you can apply a grid of variable sag points that can be modified or optimized the height of the surface at any point to create some really novel surface shapes. Really importantly as well, so that can be used for novel surface shapes, but it can also be used to create spatially selective designs as well. So we're used to, for example, utilizing a footprint on a surface, an optical surface for one specific function. This allows you to create surfaces that are used for multiple functions. So we can select just a subset of a surface and selectively optimize that without affecting the surrounding profile. So this allows us to do neat things like, for example, have this is a freeform prism, but take something, for example, from a micro display and couple it into the eye, but also include a separate channel, which might be part of an eye tracking system, using the same surface set in here, but we can optimize the performance spatially selectively for those different systems. So they're hitting these surfaces on different points. We can select different portions of it, optimize it for the particular needs of whatever channels are in there. Okay, so some very neat things we've got going on there. So what I'm really interested in today is the kind of challenges people are having in the VR and AR systems, whether it's more in the was mentioned earlier in the light engine system, whether it's in the combiner optics, etc., whether it's in the projection optics, where people feel that freeform optics can be useful to create smaller, lighter, smaller form factor systems, and what particular challenges people are experiencing, what tools we can help put out there to aid them. So obviously, I mentioned flexible characterization. Another really important thing when you're designing is it's become really important to look at performance across a full field of view, control aberrations across a full field of view, investigate distortion, things like that across a full field of view for pre-processing of your input images, for example. Obviously, accurate simulated images through the whole system is something we can do. And also, design for manufacture becomes really important. So particularly when you can design optical component surfaces that can have any form whatsoever, being able to constrain them so they're manufacturable becomes very important. So controlling things like local slope, so they're manufacturable but also testable, is a key constraint. We've got incorporated various tools in our tool set for that as well. Okay, and also then taking out these bespoke surfaces and putting them out into manufacturer ready data formats, point clouds, etc. So there's some really important tools we've got, and I think what I'm looking for really is links, information from people about how they can help, how we can help solve their design issues, and where we need to be focusing attention. And wherever we've got things that can already help people, provide guidance on what we've got. Okay. One thing, really important thing for this is I've introduced a small subset of things that we've got. We do also have within the software fully featured API, so you can design whatever bespoke analyses or optimization routines you want via a really highly configurable API. So you can take what we've got and build on it as much as you want as well. So really, I'd like to end it there and just say, yeah, hopefully that's given you a different perspective on some things that are available. And hopefully we'll hear a bit more about what manufacturers can do with this data afterwards when we hear from some manufacturers. But yeah, as I say, I'd love to hear where people are using freeform optics, where they would like to, but if they had better design tools available, that'd be great for me.
Thank you so much. Design tools are absolutely very important for AR, VR. Maybe the answer to some of your questions we can get from Angel, who's going to give a talk right now from asphericon already. Right? I unmute you. Yeah. How are you doing, Angela?
I'm good. I will just, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I will talk a little bit about freeform manufacturing in a manufacturing point of view. And just to give a broad overview, yeah, this is our slogan. And I will come directly to the freeform optical systems. So we would like to make freeform as kind of a standard in optics. So if you want to realize that, we have to manufacture freeform optics as good as A-spheres or optical components as known. And so if you can see, the freeforms here are in between in packaging, numerical aperture and field of view. And so the freeforms are novel in this kind of view. So the working range extended, the freeform surfaces allowed to break the symmetry, and we have a high integration possible. So when a freeform surface is needed, once you can say you need to fold the ray path in a very small volume, and this can be done with a monolith, for example, here with three aspheric surfaces and one freeform, and you need to reduce the volume to include optical functions. I got one slide too far. So what is asphericon doing? We have a lot of different tools available to create such freeforms. On the one hand, we can do that in almost any material you can imagine, which means we have diamond turning machines and grinding and polishing. And we also introduce a large metrology park to create designs, to manufacture the optics, and to create the surface structure, or to measure the surface structure as well. But we not only rely on the design, but we also need to introduce the form factors of the surface eventually. Coming to an example, before we had a system that was very large, and this has to be folded into a smaller system made of germanium, and the volume reduction was 75% from the before system to the after system. And we also did a very good surface form deviation of only 1.7 fringes at the end. And you also have with this monolithic system highly reduced mounting costs, because integrating, everybody who knows to integrate optical components is very difficult and very difficult. And having this as a monolith will create or will reduce the mounting cost because it's done within the manufacturing, this tolerancing. Yeah. My last point is higher order iris systems. So iris lenses are two lenses that have a 3D or 2D optical surface that are shifted laterally against each other. So if you want to shift them in this direction, you have a focal point of 225 millimeters. And the good point here, you have a flexible focus shifter in a very short building range. And we also measured these items. This is the RMS wavefront error of 55 millilambda, and also for the other option or setup system, we can see depicted here. It's mounted. This system is already diffraction limited, so we have a very short building length for a very what you usually do with a telescope that is very long. That we created a diffraction limited system without without the long distance that has a telescope usually. All right, thanks.
Thank you, and sorry for that. I couldn't find the button to unmute myself. Great presentation from asphericon once again. The capital of optics in Europe is Jena. Later we go to the capital of optics in the US, which is Rochester. It's great to have this. But before we go to that, there is a couple of issues I want to understand a little bit. And is we had the presentation from Chris. He's been working heavily on helping different optical designers in the field of freeform optics already for some time. I would like to understand a little bit for you, Chris, what are the main challenges, the main questions that you're getting from optical design companies?
What are the main challenges we're getting from optical design companies in this area particularly? Yes. From companies, particularly as I mentioned, it's been more the modeling of the diffractive waveguides. So surface relief gratings for the in and out couplers and pupil expansion systems, or volume holographic gratings. We've put a lot of work in recently to accurately modeling those, and things like diffraction efficiency out of them, so we can model some of the more subtle effects that compromise the performance. And that's the interesting thing. Over the past year or 2 years, that has been the bulk of customer questions, either creating their own models or utilizing models that we can create for them. There's been a huge push, as we've seen from other speakers, on diffractive-based waveguides to get the smaller form factors, and that is where the bulk of the inquiries are coming in our direction, which is why I'm really interested in this setting about the freeform optics, and some of the things have been covered with freeforms in other areas about the manufacturability, being able to constrain particular shapes, be able to assess the performance over kind of whole field of view. Those are the kind of things we've been getting, but nothing. Yeah, I'm just interested in the kind of use cases.
That's right. Angela is fully design agnostic. She's been working already with Genoptic. I saw in the slides. So I want to go to Dispelix, to Jussi. We talk about diffractive waveguides. From your point of view, Jussi, you have been an expert on different approaches for minimizing stray light, and also for other approaches. What are the challenges that you have to Light Tech later, to Zemax now, as providing you the right tools for optical design?
So of course, we are working a lot with Zemax for more traditional optics on a light engine side, and the coupling from light engine to waveguide. What we do for waveguide design itself, so we have built fully in-house optimization system that does not use any commercial software. So that's how we have taken the approach for design for waveguides and handling those issues you mentioned.
Also from Nanoscribe. Nanoscribe has been, on one hand, they are interested, of course, in selling the equipment, but on the other hand, they are providing services. And one of the things that I've been very excited about is to see in the advanced micro-optics manufacturing, how they skip lots of steps in the supply chain, and sometimes they sell directly to the end user. When it comes to the optical design, what is the position with Nanoscribe? Do you get your customers to design for you, or do you have optical design capabilities at home?
We do not have any capability that we offer. Of course, we do some internal designs, but we require the customer to provide the geometry that they would like to have produced. Of course, we know a couple of providers that we can forward our customers to. Always interested to learn of more design service providers that we can use as a kind of intermediary before then we produce the final optics. But we have a machine that gives you a geometry.
Thank you very much, Jochen. And we could go directly to Rochester through the Atlantic, but I want to go around the world. I want to go first to Japan. I want to hear from Yoshia from Sumitomo. I want to understand, why did you join us today, and what kind of things would you like to learn from the community in the optics for AR/VR? I think we have sound problem with you, Yoshi, as well. So if you go to the bottom left corner of the Zoom window, next to the mute button, there is an arrow up, and there you can select different options for the microphone. I think if you select a different one, it will work. So next to in the bottom left, I don't think we can hear you, Yoshiaki. Yoshiaki-san has been one of our key contacts at Sumitomo on different applications. I'm really looking forward to hear from you. I'm going to give you the word after the next presentation. So let's go to Rochester now. Let's go to Jessica, my friend Jessica. Thank you very much for joining us this morning for you, this afternoon for us. The floor and the attention of everyone goes to Rochester, the capital of optics in the US.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And yes, well, for me, it's good morning, but good afternoon and good evening to many others here today. Let me pick this up and share this. Okay, do you see it in presentation mode? Okay. Okay, awesome. Okay, well, thank you. I'd like to take just a short period here and talk about rapid prototyping freeform optics, specifically for AR/VR applications. For those of you who are not familiar with us, we are Optimax, and we're located in Ontario, New York. It's just outside of Rochester, New York. And we hope many of you will be able to join us next year at our facility as we host an epic meeting on freeform optics. We were founded in 1991, and so that means in 2021, next year when you arrive, we will be 30 years old. We have just expanded, and that's actually where we're hosting the meeting, is in our newly expanded facility. We recently doubled our size. Here in the US, we still work in square feet. We're at 120,000 square feet, but I did a little Google conversion to 11,000 square meters. And of course, we're 9001 ISO certified, obviously growing, and a diversified market portfolio. I mean, today we're talking about AR, VR. However, we do a lot of additional work in semiconductor defense and of course, medical optics as well. And we are the largest optics manufacturer in North America with over 380 employees and growing. So what we do, we do make custom optics, but we think of ourselves as a custom engineered solution provider, helping our customers achieve their goals. We like to partner with our customers all the way through the process, whether they need a rapid prototype. You've probably seen some of our ads, optics in 1 week. We still deliver those. However, we find ourselves creating a lot of value for our customers who need high precision optics, and a lot of times in higher volumes as well. We make A-spheres, cylinders, freeforms, prisms, spheres. Mark mentioned earlier today a definition for freeforms for us. I actually, unfortunately, took my definition of freeforms out of this presentation for time. However, I did want to mention that our definition for freeforms is actually non-rotationally symmetric. And so anytime we have to utilize fabrication techniques that don't utilize symmetry, which in manufacturing, symmetry makes things a little bit easier. But freeforms, obviously, there's no symmetry, but that's still not a problem. And that's something that a lot of freeforms are. They essentially have no symmetry in them. We also have an extensive thin film coating department, and all of our coatings are designed for customer specifications, obviously anti-reflection, mirror coatings, beams, filters, many different deposition techniques, E-beam, ion assist, and then of course ion beam sputtering for some of those mirror coatings as well. We focus a lot of our time and effort on precision and quality. We have a huge suite of both commercially purchased metrology solutions from interferometries, mechanical measurements, and then of course for coating metrology as well. And then whatever we are not able to find solutions for in the commercial market, we have developed our own custom solutions as well. And our focus, as I mentioned before, is partnering with our customers, and we've created solutions that are highly engineered and many times application specific, looking at things that are different for each market space, whether it be space flight, DUV lithography, high energy lasers, or potentially even the AR/VR market that we're talking about today. So why freeforms and why do this? Well, if we take a look at what a lot of people have spoken about today, AR devices are poised to be over $100 billion market. And I think all of us are here today because we're all interested in finding more about this new exciting technology. And there are many challenges that these devices need to overcome. Again, these were mentioned earlier. A lot of times they could be too bulky, too heavy. They have a low field of view, low resolution, low brightness, inherent vision limitations. And this is where freeforms can potentially be a solution for this. Freeforms offer an opportunity to address these challenges. They offer unique advantages in optical designs. And this is something that Chris mentioned earlier, as well as others, is that freeforms offer the advantage because you no longer have to stay on axis. You can do a lot, you have a lot more degrees of freedom in your design. You can look into miniaturization, again, off axis. You can get a lighter weight system to reduce that bulkiness, conformal shapes. But a lot of these increased freeform complexities can lead to manufacturing complexities as well. And I have a couple examples over here on the right, just to show some of the unique designs and some of the trends that are happening with getting smaller and smaller. So quick real life example, and then I'll conclude. A refractive equation-driven freeform. We had a customer come to us. They tried to mold these. It didn't work. They were very time sensitive. They needed these in 3 weeks. Manufacturing challenges, some people have mentioned this before, had very small local radius of curvature. Using traditional techniques, your tool has to be smaller than the features that you're looking to make. Amid spatial frequency concerns, of course, we had difficulties creating the CAD model as well. But however, we put a bunch of really great engineers on it. We developed a method to create this freeform CAD model. And within 3 weeks, our customer was delivered a beautiful freeform optic. So in conclusion, freeforms continue to be the future. We're trending towards higher precision and more extreme surfaces. They're being used to reduce system size, off-axis design, and conformal windows and beam creation. One thing I did not mention, and happy to talk about it later, is finding ways to reduce total error. Not only is wavefront error is important, but also positional error is important as well. And experience leads to breakthroughs. I firmly believe that collaborations are driving more extreme surfaces, and Optimax is very interested in partnering with additional universities, research institutes, and many people from industries such as yourselves. As an industry, we continue our journey to higher precision freeforms. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for your talk. It's very nice that you're open for collaborations. That's what we're looking for. I think I really would like to first ask the audience, if you have any question, please raise your hand or just raise it electronically. Yeah, please, WaveOptics.
Yeah, just a quick question. You mentioned some thin film deposition. Would it be possible to get a range of materials which you can deposit, and whether you offer it as a service?
Yes, we offer it as a service. And so we have many different coating chambers. Obviously, I mentioned many different deposition techniques. We do a variety of different materials. I think maybe on an offline, we can talk about your specific needs. But I mean, obviously glass, crystals, polycrystalline ceramics, all of those things as well.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Mark, you wanted to say something?
Yes, to Jessica. Certainly, I think your company is a fine company. I didn't want to imply that, but why do you think your firm has a reputation of kind of violating the traditional definition of freeform?
So I didn't quite catch the very last part, but I do know that. So one of the things that we've mentioned about freeforms. So we are willing, if our customers want to define an off-axis A-sphere as a freeform, we're not going to stop them. How we define freeforms is how we manufacture them. If we can't use symmetry in the manufacturing process, it's to us, it's a freeform. So for example, and I've used this in presentations before, if you have an off-axis A-sphere, if you can manufacture that off-axis A-sphere first as a parent and then segment out the child, we would consider that an A-sphere because you're able to utilize symmetry both in the manufacturing and the testing of the optic and process. However, if that off-axis segment is not possible to be made as a parent and cut out as a child, and the entire process has to be cut out as that child, then we would use our freeform manufacturing process to create that off-axis segment. However, we also utilize that same freeform process to do something that is completely separated from anything that has any rotational symmetry as well. It could be an XYZ point cloud, some type of equation-driven freeform. In terms of why we have the reputation that you mentioned, I am not certain because we definitely will work with anything that a customer is interested in, and we let our customers define how they want to define a freeform. And so we'll try to make anything that you send to us.
Thank you so much, Jessica. We're looking forward to the EPIC meeting on freeform optics in Rochester, and Fabulous will be present there. They are golden sponsors, so we will hear also a lot from them. I would like to go back to Shikata-san from Sumitomo. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, I'm afraid we don't see you and we don't hear you. So maybe we also go back to Icon. Carlos, we didn't hear your story yet. We still don't hear you.
This is the beauty of the direct. I have to say, Mark, I fully agree with the definition of Jessica, and that's actually the definition that we are taking also for the EPIC meetings. So as soon as this is a free-form manufacturing process, it is free-form optics. And I really, really like that definition because basically put everybody in the same basket. And I understand there is a lot of purists, but most of them are in the academia, and EPIC is an industry association, so at least worried about that part. I fully 100% support Jessica on this. Carlos, bottom left corner of the window, I really want to hear your story. Please do this for me. Bottom left corner of the window, next to the mute button, there is an arrow up. You click on it, different options for the microphone, select the most beautiful one. I think we have to continue. Sana, the floor is yours.
Yes. Yes. So do we have, so if we don't have more questions to Jessica from Optimax, thank you again for the nice talk. And the next talk will be from Martin from EVGroup. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Hello, thank you. So I'll try to share my screen.
Yes, please.
Okay, so as today it's for freeform optics, and of course we understand the wish for the curved surfaces. However, at the moment we have to stick rather to wafers, but we try our best that you have maximum design freedom at least on the wafer, and put the structures as you wanted. And today I want to show a little bit what we are doing with the nano-imprint lithography there. However, of course, there are many here who know us already, but for those who don't know us, maybe a brief introduction to EVG, because it's not only about nano imprinting at EVG. We are equipment supplier for wafer processing, and we are very active in the MEMS, nanotechnology, obviously, and generally in the semiconductor area. We have this year 40 years anniversary. It's a privately held company with 1,000 employees worldwide. So we also had here just recently 1,000 person coming to headquarters. Headquarters is here in Austria, but we also have worldwide subsidiaries, obviously. And here you see some of our recent developments. You see there is not only nano imprinting. Here is a Gemini FB for hybrid bonding, which is used for the CMOS image sensor stacking and memory stacking. We have laser debonding tools. We have actually made it a tool now which is for fusion bonding, which can be used in the semiconductor industry front end of line. We have a new maskless exposure technology, which is basically digital lithography for the advanced packaging. And of course, we also have our Hercules system for the nano imprint lithography. Yeah, to show this in more detail, so what are we doing? So basically, we build such modular types of systems where we have, of course, an imprint module, the so-called smart mill module, but we also have all the pre-processing steps inside, like the cleaning, the baking, and the spin coating. And what happens then is you basically place your wafer into the EFM, and you get a fully processed wafer out, a fully imprinted wafer out. As you can see here, some nice waveguide devices, which we did in collaboration with WaveOptics, which we also had a nice press release on, as this was done with high refractive index materials with 1.9. What's the challenge? And basically, it was earlier today a little bit mentioned, because today you can go to master suppliers, you get one single die perfectly made in maybe silicon, but could also be glass or other materials as discussed. And then you have this one die, but you want to scale to 200 millimeter or eventually even to 300 millimeter wafers. And this cannot be done by direct writing. You need to go for different methods. And basically what we can do here is we can go through this whole process that we can start off with such a single die. So this time, of course, we don't show details of the design of the structures. That's proprietary WaveOptics, but we have a very nice reference design. And here you can see it also starts off with a single die, which you make by E-beam lithography and etch into the wafer. And then we go for the step and repeat imprinting. So we do the nano imprinting just one by one, taking one die, do exposure, separate and make the next one until a 200 millimeter or even a 300 millimeter master is filled. That's the so-called step and repeat master. And from this one, because it's still a very precious thing, and you want to have here, you want to use it for a long time, we make then so-called working stamp, which are actually used for the imprint. And from every working stamp, we can also make many imprints. And so you can scale from one die to really high volume for the WaveOptics, for the production of such waveguides. Yeah, just to show it in terms of nanostructures, which is basically a zoom in to the structure you have seen in the previous slide, which was the Stuttgart Castle. You have here nanostructures. Here is reference, roughly a size of 100 nanometer height and 100 nanometer diameter. And you can see from the master template to the step and repeat imprint and to the final imprint, there's just a minimum deviation. And the deviation we have that's related to shrinkage of the polymer materials. This is a common thing that's well known actually for any molding process. Also thermal molding processes need to live with some deviation from the master. However, it's stable and can be biased, and that's the nice thing. And of course, we can, so there is literature, what are structures that can be used for waveguides and augmented reality, and basically we have reference structures for all. So for example, for mill technology, Jose knows them also very well, provided us even this very fancy looking slanted structures, but from binary, placed, slanted, or whatever structures, we can do anything that's here required and replicate in a single shot, very efficient in functional materials. Yeah, and if you have a master, we can go for the step and the repeat imprinting and directly to the high volume manufacturing with our systems. We have this all in place also here at headquarters that we can give it a run for the development. And actually, it was quite a journey to get there. So EVG, so I said 40 years of anniversary. 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, actually, we had a 20 years anniversary of nano imprinting. So we had started at university, but around 2013, it picked up really that people wanted to see it in production. And of course, augmented reality was a big topic and driver here. And as you can see, this speeded up the development quite a lot. And yeah, when you look at the timelines Yole is predicting, we would be happy to see this really happen, but maybe that's not only on us as well, but definitely we are convinced that guys like WaveOptics will make this happen. And we are looking forward to it. Personally, I'm really looking forward to it to get this on the market. How can you engage with us? So what can we do for you? Basically, we have a smart way to collaborate for success, which we call the NIL Photonics Competence Center. You can here establish the manufacturing process. You have a close collaboration between process and equipment needs. And you can bridge the gap between the R&D and the volume manufacturing. So any idea you have in the lab, you want to get in the fab soon and for a short time to market, let us know. And very important, I want to mention here, don't limit us too much on the nano imprinting. The augmented reality doesn't not only need the waveguides, of course, very important part. However, there are many sensors, maybe 3D sensing or other sensors required for these devices with very small form factors. So we are very active in the wafer level optics. We have our own development line and pilot line here. And we have a track record for high volume manufacturing worldwide. We can do advanced resist processing. We can do heterogeneous integration. So combining different form factors, combining different materials. And last but not least, there are also new ideas to apply, for example, for micro LED displays, the same methods as for CMOS image sensors, go for 3D stacking and hybrid bonding. So yeah, what can you do for us? Very simple. For those guys who already work with us, let's make it happen. I want to buy your devices soon. For those not yet working with us, let us know what you want to get out of the lab into the fab very fast. Is it the new sensor? Is it the new display or whatever? Please engage with us. We would be happy to discuss and maybe even develop new equipment based on this.
Thank you very much, Martin, Florian, and in beautiful village next to the river. Amazing, amazing facilities at EVG. I hope we can go back with another epic meeting very soon. Let me introduce you to a few of my friends. Why don't we go to a German city called Aachen? And we go to a company called Zemax. They do fantastic metallic optics, and they also, I think they can actually help EVG with some molds. Is that right, Benjamin?
That's right. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Zemax is a company dedicated to metal optics manufacturing. We produce mirrors as well as optical mold inserts or masters for optics production. And in fact, we are already in touch with colleagues from EVG for some applications.
Exactly. So I think we know each other very well from the field of micro optics and others.
That's right.
In addition, Benjamin, I've been a couple of times in your booths at different conferences. You also manufacture beautiful freeform optics, right?
That's right, yes. With the technologies that we have, we are not limited to symmetric surfaces. We can go into any non-symmetric surfaces as well as diffractives or microstructures. Yeah.
Why don't we continue in the same city, because I love it. It's a beautiful city. It's Aachen, and there Tobias has two hats. In one hand, he is the CTO of EssentOptics, and the other, he's also business line manager for Fraunhofer IPT. And with him, we discussed a lot about polymer optics, a lot. We have been discussing already today a lot about polymer optics. What is the positioning that you have in the supply chain, and what kind of companies do you think you can help?
Well, we are as EssentOptics, a company for automation of optics assembly and packaging and testing also. And I think the AR VR market or the freeform market for us is quite interesting. As you know, it's not such a binary thing to do the assembly like a fiber coupling or where you have a clear optimization criterion. But sometimes you need multiple sensors to be integrated into an assembly process, and you need also maybe smart algorithms, maybe even based on artificial intelligence, to decide what is the best alignment state. And yeah, and bringing these into production environments is quite challenging. And I think with our open source assembly systems, that's well, that's a big asset that we can bring. And yeah, also we consider ourselves as development partners to help companies really quickly into the market, providing prototyping service with the institutional background, and then providing access to market by job shop manufacturing for a small series before market is ready for your own production.
Needless to say, Tobias, you need to have a discussion later with a representative from WaveOptics. He's looking for a very good package solution, micro-optics and active components. But I cannot wait anymore for this. This is so cool. We were going to have the meeting at Optimax, and our keynote speaker, Barry from Facebook, of course, said, okay, I'm going to be there next year. It's okay. But why don't we also interact with you today at the online meeting? Barry Silverstone, it's such an honor to have you with us today. Thank you very much for joining. What do you think about this meeting so far? And which kind of companies do you think you can interact, work with? What are the main challenges that you have in optics for the AR/VR business?
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear, crystal clear.
Wonderful. So first of all, my apologies. I ended up coming in late to the meeting because of the time zone difference, but I'm here and I'm really excited by what you put together today. You know, I've looked at some of the people that are online, and it's a who's who of the experts in this industry. It's just wonderful to see such a group pulled together. So thank you for pulling this together. As you know, I'm sure all of you understand, the AR and VR space is really pushing the optics community to the limits and beyond in order to achieve what we're aiming for. At Facebook, we're aiming for solutions that are much further than what any of us are capable of doing today. For VR, the aim is to deliver on basically indistinguishable reality in an all-day wearable. And I know where I am today, working from home, if we had the solution today, we would all be incredibly much happier. And some of the things that you need to be able to do to accomplish that, first of all, are reducing size and weight. And that's not going to happen very easily with conventional optics. And it's going to take the pieces that you all are working on in order to both achieve that in the laboratory, but also achieve that in fabrication in volume, which is not to be understated as a difficult achievement. I know it's hard enough to achieve it in the lab, but actually getting into people's hands in volume at a cost that's acceptable will be a very difficult challenge. The pieces that we're putting together, of course, are not just the optics, and you can imagine that having avatars that are indistinguishable from your VR headset is but difficult. And so there's the display optics, and there's the sense, which many of you have mentioned. The integration of these optics together, which I heard in some of the past moments, is the most difficult challenges there are in a headset. And why do I say that? Because the form factor is no longer a box like a smartphone. It is a complicated assembly that has to be integrated with a human form, which is not an easy thing to do. So I briefly mentioned VR. Take that up a notch and go to AR and make it an all-day wearable. Now it's got to be both lightweight, but also sexy, right? So glasses are individualized, they're personalized, they're incredibly light. And so what we keep talking about is going smaller and smaller in optics and lighter and more integrated. But you got to be able to see through them, which to me is in some ways still magic. And you know, things that you don't understand start out as magic and eventually become science. And that's really what we're all about, and what I think all of you are about as well, which is to turn this into science. So one thing that for me is sorry, because it's something that you left a bit blank there, because one thing for me is still difficult to understand is, on one hand, you're saying that we need a different approach to really miniaturize this. There are many companies, today we have two of them, two success stories, Dispelix and WaveOptics, talking about the waveguides. Do you think this is the way to go, or do we need a paradigm shift in order to go to the typical lightweight glasses that we wear in modern applications? So now this is my opinion, okay? And so I believe that Dispelix and WaveOptics are on a good path for the initial headsets. Okay, that's the plus, and this could be actually be quite a while where waveguides will probably rule the day, because it offers the the see-through, provided that you can get past the artifacts. I know that many of you are working on those. Offers a see-through and the weight savings. However, okay, and this is the hard part to digest, it's my opinion that long-term, it will not be the most viable approach. And when I mean long-term is once somebody figures out something else, okay, which is not an easy thing to do. The reason being, and these are the problems that everyone faces with waveguides, is that things like uniformity and efficiency and artifact management are very difficult, right? So very difficult and challenging to deal with. Efficiency, in my mind, eventually, if someone can figure out a way to do this efficiently, more efficiently, it's going to change the dynamics. And it's no surprise to any of you that efficiency in cell phones and batteries in cell phones and heat dissipation in cell phones are big stories. So so on your head, it's going to be that much more important, right? When you're trying to get down to grams instead of fractions of a pound. So I don't necessarily know that anybody has the answer to the question yet, but I think it's going to be important in research to figure that out. And it is a business in which many companies are in stealth mode, but to be fairly honest, I also not aware of anybody having the solution. I think the approach that many companies in Europe are targeting is the development of freeform wafer level micro-optics, being able to manufacture micro-optics on both sides. What do you think of that approach?
So freeform optics are definitely going to be necessary as components of a greater system, because folding the system and compacting the system will use freeforms, and wafer level is absolutely the way to go. It's going to be a balance of improving materials, improving processes, and metrology, which is something that EPIC is so immersed in. And is important. The other qualities of the optics and other types of optics, in addition to freeform, are going to be necessary as well, right? So waveguide will still be used, in my guess, as a means of delivering some of the light. But I think other types of technologies will be involved as well. But things like eye tracking, really good eye tracking, need to be solved, which no one is, people have done it reasonably well on a bench, partially well in a headset, but not good enough. And you're going to need incredible accuracy. Anybody who's thought through the problem realizes that in an optical system, you want to send the light directly into the eye. And pupil replication, if you don't have to do it and waste light, would be great. The problem is actually doing that is really, really tough because the eye moves. So
any questions for Barry? Anybody would like to answer one of these several challenges, or to propose perhaps a collaboration? Arseny, I was expecting your question.
Yeah, sure. So I just want to say that I do agree with the list of challenges which Barry mentioned, but we have some solutions for them, and we are working hard on them. So I wouldn't be able to give any details of what we are doing, but this list is well known in the community, and yeah, we're just working hard to address these challenges. And maybe I could ask a question as well, Barry. So from the Facebook point of view, what are the biggest artifacts or unwanted effects which you can see from the consumer point of view of the current AR devices?
Well, the current AR devices, the biggest artifact is the form factor. So for a consumer, now there's commercial applications which the form factors of existing devices are fine. For consumer applications, you can't have a head-mounted system that people are going to walk into a bar with. So it's got to look like a pair of glasses. It's got to be somewhat customizable. And on top of that, it can't be, if you're going to wear it all the time, there can't be distractive artifacts in the glasses that might be hazardous to you actually wearing them as a pair of glasses. Remember, they're a pair of glasses first.
We have one more question from Limbach from Madrid.
Yes. Thanks, Barry, for your talk. I was wondering when you, this future AR system that you kind of forecast, according to your words, is more a video see-through system than an optical see-through. Is that my understanding is correct, or?
No. So there are two different paths. One is the VR path, and one is the AR path. So the AR path will be very much a pair of glasses, right? You know, because that's what we all want to wear all day. The VR path, of course, which Facebook does and Oculus, the VR path can be see-through, right? I mean, can be you know, a mixed reality system with cameras that incorporate the real world. That still doesn't solve the problem of people needing to see your face. And you're wearing a pair of glasses, a pair of goggles on your head, and so people need to be able to see your face. So there's only one way to do that without you know, the goggles appearing. You don't have cameras on the outside, and that is by avatar. And if you look at our published work from our Pittsburgh lab, Facebook Reality Labs, you'll see that we have a system which can indistinguishably recreate, to my visual system, indistinguishably recreate human form factors from the real life in what appears to be real time. That needs to be scaled up, and I'm sure along the way it will not be as elegant right off the bat, but ultimately that's what you need to get. You need to be able to put me with a pair of goggles into your headset without a pair of goggles indistinguishably from me as if I'm not wearing a pair of goggles.
Barry, we have another question from Mark from Fiber Reality. Mark.
Hi, Barry. It's good to talk to you. I guess what I wonder about is, you know, the hyperscale operators, you know, the big four in the US have done their darndest to, you know, get prices of transceivers down. And I suspect you're not directly involved in that, but certainly there's been destruction on the datacom optical ecosystem side. And I just wonder, what is, you know, given the uncertainty with the world market collapse and everything, do the Facebooks of the world have credibility with especially some of the bigger vendors who might have got burned on price? And you know, maybe that was their fault. They didn't differentiate enough to keep the prices up. But is there going to be a problem across the board with the Facebooks, the Googles, in getting the optical technology that you need after you know, you're really, and it was your right to drive down prices to levels that were not sustainable?
So if I gather your question right, yeah, you're really asking about bandwidth over time, especially in the wireless world. Is that what you're asking?
Well, I mean, yes, but it applies to optics in general. I mean, you know, could Facebook have it both ways? You know, in that you know, you were involved with driving prices down on one side, you know, big sector of optics, and you know, you're expecting some optics development to be done in the area of AR VR. Is that a reasonable expectation?
Yeah. So we are working with companies to develop the optics, to develop the supply chains, but how fast this occurs in the affordability is something we'll be pushing on and helping to support. But it is a catch-22. You know, the Oculus headsets are an example, which if you think about it, are very simple examples of driving this industry. So the Oculus Quest has a Fresnel lens in it, which is still relatively conventional optics. I mean, that, you know, Fresnel lenses have been around for eons. And we are driving the volume up by creating an ecosystem. Now we can't increase our prices substantially because that affects the ecosystem, which means we can't incorporate technology as fast as we would like because you can only stick so much in at a particular price. But you have to drive that curve up, and you drive that curve up by adding functionality, both in software and in hardware. And as the volumes go up, the prices drop. Now, how fast can you drive that curve? Because in order to drive the optics down in price, you're going to need to increase the volume and get more people investing in it because they see future profits. So,
any further question for Barry? Because these people really are enjoying very much your presence. We're going to move to the next presentation. We go to Nanoscribe. Thank you very much, Jochen, for being with us. And Barry, fantastic that you are here. Jochen, the floor and the attention of everyone, even Facebook, is yours.
Thank you. I'm very excited for this opportunity. Can everybody see my screen? Let me just, the presentation mode doesn't seem to want to work. Now everybody can see the presentation? Great, thanks a lot. So my name is Jochen Zimmer and I represent Nanoscribe, and we have seen some requests from different directions about creating very interesting kind of freeform shapes with our technology, and this is why I would like to take the opportunity to present our technology of two-photon grayscale lithography and its application to freeform optics in the next couple of minutes to you. So Nanoscribe, what do? We are a solutions provider for 3D microprinting solutions that are centered around 3D microprinters, such as the one as you can see here on the left-hand picture. And these machines allow you to create a 3D freeform structure. So many applications, especially in the beginning, didn't have anything to do with optics. So any shape you like with resolutions down to the submicron. So like I mentioned before in one of the questions, 160 nanometer feature size can be created. This example, of course, is just to show off. Eiffel Towers are a common way to show off in the 3D printing community. Of course, we want to go to real life examples in a moment. This kind of 3D freeform creation is made possible by the magic of two-photon polymerization. I have no time to go into that. If anybody is interested in the details and isn't aware of the capabilities of two-photon polymerization, just contact me afterwards, please, and I can explain it to you in more detail. Suffice it to say, we have a polymer-based process. We have a liquid polymer resin that we cross-link in a 3D shape by moving around a laser focal point in 3D, and thus we can create a high-resolution 3D polymer forms. We are the market leader with this, and we have way over 2,000 users already. Many of the systems are used by academics. They're all very happy to be mentioned as references. You can see a small selection from our references here. We have industrial customers as well, but as you can imagine, some of them do not like to be mentioned in this context. Two that do like to be mentioned are MoveOn and YNG Optics from Singapore and Korea, respectively. And the reason they like to be mentioned is that they are service providers, and they're happy for people to talk about their capabilities. And what they are doing with the technology is prototyping and mastering of micro optics. So their customers like to have micro lens arrays or other micro optical structures, and they very much appreciate the fact that you can prototype very quickly with transparent materials with our technology, test and iterate within a day if necessary. So many iterative cycles are possible within a short period of time. And then afterwards, the same technology can be used for creating masters, which then our customers turn into nickel shims, for example. For replication, of course, nano imprint lithography, for example, is possible too. From these masters, you create the tools for mass production then. I mentioned the example of micro lens arrays. Other examples include diffractive optical elements and any kind of angled surfaces. We've seen previously mentioned blazed gratings or similar kinds of gratings. We do see all kinds of structures in customers' requests. Of course, most of those are confidential. What I can show you is the work on the left, which is from an academic customer of ours, and they have printed blazed diffractive optical element for off-axis projection of the DOE pattern. It's Singapore University of Technology and Design. You can check out their publication down there. So in all of these, so for the tilted surfaces, for the curved surfaces, for any shape you like, you can create surface roughnesses of 10 nanometer or better without any post-processing like polishing or anything. Nothing like that is required. Directly out of the printing, you just clean away the liquid polymer resin and you have your smooth optical surface. And we recently released a new industrial microfabrication platform, the Quantum X, which is the properties are shaped by the feedback from our industrial customers of the previous machine generations. And one of the main features, and this is what I want to briefly introduce to you today, is two-photon grayscale lithography. This is basically similar to conventional grayscale lithography. You change the size of the pattern, the height of the pattern that you expose by varying the laser power. In this case, you change the size of the liquid that you cross-link and turn into a solid. And with this, we have the possibility to create very quickly very complex shapes. So what do we offer? Well, we offer this machine and the solution surrounding it and incorporating the two-photon grayscale. It allows you, for example, to create 4,000 levels in a single scanning layer of diffractive optical elements or other patterns, so also tilted patterns, tilted DOEs or blaze gratings, things like that for coupling out light are possible. You can also create smooth surfaces with a small number of layers by multi-layer grayscale exposure, which can create several hundred micron high micro and mesoscale lenses. And examples, other examples include continuous diffractive optical elements, so 256 layers or even over 4,000 layers for a DOE are possible. And you can also combine this with making other freeform optics, for example, structural anti-reflective coating by including some kind of moth eye structure would be possible. And you can have basically any hybrid diffractive refractive combination. You can feed directly into the machine and print this ultimate freeform surface with this. It's you can very quickly create prototypes and test them and measure them and iterate them if you want to go to larger areas. So we come from the microfabrication. For us, a centimeter is already quite large. So if you want to create, for example, a 2x2 centimeter DOE with this process, you can print it within 1 week right now. And we're still looking for further optimization, of course. And higher freeform structure, for example, 100 micron high, so height difference, total height difference on the wafer, 1.2 by 1.2 centimeters would also take a week. higher aspect ratios are possible. They would just might take a little bit longer. What are we looking for? Well, basically, we're looking for early adopters of this technology. We have already sold systems to academia and to industry. And if you are interested in discussing this technology with us, if you have, for example, and this would be something that I really would be looking forward to hearing from you, if there's geometries that so far you have gotten the feedback, okay, well, this is just too challenging to manufacture for us, then we would be very interested to take a look at it. Maybe with 2GL, this is now within the range of possibilities. And then we offer feasibility studies to test it out together with you. Contact us via sales@nanoscribe.com or contact me directly by email. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jochen. It's really nice talk. And you know how it goes with EPIC. You tell them what you can do, and you also have to tell how you can help them or what can they do for you.
Yes, so basically, like I said, we are looking for interesting new applications. So far, most of the designs that we have seen are rather conventional. It's just like, you know, a little bit smaller or a little bit more asymmetric or a little bit more aspheric than is conventionally manufactured. But I would really be interested to see, to take this to the edge, basically, to see how really by combining diffractive, refractive, these kinds of hybrid approaches, or other free-form optics that so far were too challenging to manufacture. That would be the takeaway for me that I would hope for today.
Anyway, we're looking forward to the EPIC meeting at Nanoscribe for advanced optics, simulation, fabrication, and characterization. This will be 5 to 6 November 2020 at Nanoscribe in Germany.
Yes, we're looking forward to that as well.
We're looking forward to that. And I have to say also that Fabulous, the Freeform micro optics manufacturing pilot line, will be gold sponsor for that event as well. And maybe because we're speaking about micro optics, and very important part is also the packaging. I see that we have from Ficontex, Stefano here. How do you find the meeting so far? I'm trying to unmute you. Yeah, good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now you can.
Yes.
Yeah, as I just mentioned, also in my email, I believe that EPICS is really raising the bar with all the other industrial association is very alive, and I really enjoyed this presentation, this webinar, and I'm in touch with some of the other attendees offline, so I don't clog the conversation in this moment. But thank you for putting me out.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have a question to Jochen from Nanoscribe? Yeah, go ahead, Carlos. Oh, unfortunately, we still cannot hear you. Maybe next time. We can connect you at EPIC, so you can just write an email. We can connect you with Nanoscribe for sure for your question, and we can deal with that. Okay. So
maybe if people have short questions and their electronics don't work, can they just post a question to the chat?
Chat, absolutely.
That'd be possible.
Yeah, you can post a question to the chat, and we can read it for you. Okay. Then allow me to move forward with the software company, Lightech. And we have here Adrien. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Can you make the microphone close to your mouth, and we can hear you very well?
Yes, that's
excellent.
Better. Okay. So thanks for time for the invitation. So I will share my screen and we'll start. It's okay. I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Adrien Manassero, and I'm a member of Lightech company. I will present two software that we...
I'm afraid we don't hear you very well. Can you please speak a little louder or to the microphone?
Okay.
Excellent.
So I would like to speak about two software we offer to help in the design, optimization, and analysis of augmented reality and virtual reality systems. So first, we will see the first. Let's have a look at the Lightech company. So were created in 1999 by Jan Cornil in France, and we have 3 offices: one in France, one in Belgium, and one in Germany. We are main distributor of Synopsys optical simulation software that are Code 5, Light Tools, Airsoft, and Lucidshape. We also have so we're related to this software. We provide support, trainings, and optical engineering consulting. We also have a second activity that is the service of scattering measurements, and we sell scattering measurement instruments that we created. So let's first start with Code 5. So Code 5 is an optical imaging software to design optical imaging systems. So the main application was lens for camera and telescope, but now there are new applications that are AR and complex. They have new constraints. They are off-axis, they use freeform, and they have to be more and more compact. So to solve this new problem, Code 5 added new shapes for freeform design. It's extended free designing surfaces and the form Q2D freeform. So the advantage is that the coordinate origin can be defined at an off-axis point on the base conic, and the aspheric departure can be displaced from the coordinate origin. These two things will allow you to make your asphyrications more efficient. There is also a new 2D table to display your parameter that is more intuitive. A second new feature is a possibility to make a CAD import. So it can be used just for simple visualization, but also as an optical surface. So in this example, you can see an HUD for automotive application, and the windshield is a CAD object, and it is seen as an optical surface. Then with Code 5, we can analyze our system. So for AR and VR system, there are a set of tools really useful that are 3D viewing, distortion grid, feed maps, or footprints. And but the main advantage of Code 5, it is optimization module. So this was made by Synopsys. So you can see on the left an augmented reality system before optimization, and the analysis shows that the contrast is low and the distortion is high. So after 19 cycles of optimization, we can see that we have a far better contrast and almost no more distortion. But now that we have proper system, we want to simulate what the user are going to see. For that, we use Light Tools. So Light Tools, it's an emulation, design, and analyze software. It also has its optimization module and a photorealistic rendering module. It is used in a lot of applications because we can find ghost image. We can also see stray light from the environment. So it's possible to set different sun position, and there is a visual rendering. So in this example, that is a HUD, we can see on the top left of the image that there is a stray light. So the display itself is creating a second image of the speed. And because Light Tools has backward ray tracing, it was possible to see it and to correct the issue before the realization of the mockup. A second point is the Light Tools photorealistic rendering module. And this one works with a picture, and Light Tool transform it into a realistic environment. It is called image truth. So to conclude, Code 5 has significant features not found or not always implemented in other optical software. It allows new degree of freedom, allowing less surfaces for more compact design. Light tool is a powerful tool for radiometric analysis and visual rendering of your design. And by using both software together, we can make use of the full depth of the capabilities to achieve the superior design. Thanks.
Thank you very much for a great presentation, and thank you for a great meeting. It was fantastic. The idea here for me, especially for Light Tech and for Zemax, I organize a lot of meetings on the semicon business and on the co-packaged optics. I think we need to have more interaction, to have PDA tools that are somehow standard. I would like to ask you the same question that I asked Chris before. What are the main challenges, the main questions that you get in this particular market from optical designers in the AR/VR business? Is it the form factor? Is it straight light minimization? What is the biggest challenge?
Yeah, so for us, we have the two softwares that are really specific. And also we have the airsoft software that can also be used for nano optics. So I would say like, yeah, the main challenge is to have the good shape and the wanted shape from the user. And for us, it's the optimization that has to be really fast and really accurate.
I would like to also hear from the companies who are in a different part of the supply chain. Optic Pulsers develops coatings for optics. You have been in many market segments. I know in the vision, you are actually making a big impact in the machine vision market. In the AR/VR segment, what are the main challenges that you see for the coatings? And also, which kind of companies would you like to interact after this meeting? Oh, we cannot hear you. It was Saint 80 Day, apparently. We couldn't hear almost 3 people already. John,
hello?
But yes, perfect. I can breathe now. Yes.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, thanks, Jose, for asking me. As usual, very interesting topic today again. Well, one major challenge with the Freeform is, and that's something we are looking into now, and if you have ideas, then please get in touch with us, is we often have very steep curvature, small radii, and for and I saw the coating technologies also that Optimax is using. Especially with those technologies, it can be very challenging to have a uniform coating over your free form. And then also in Optimax, Jessica showed a very cool part, which had several surfaces, so like this monolithic block. It could happen that you have different coatings on each surface. So you need to sort of fit this into your machine and only coat what you want without coating the other stuff and then turn it or change its position, etc. I think you know what I mean.
Jessica, how do you deal with this, with the coatings of freeform optics in general?
Yes. So uniform coatings are, I mean, it's incredibly important to make sure that no matter what the shape of your optic is, the coating is uniform. And as you mentioned, as you become more and more complex in shape, it becomes much more challenging. So there's a lot of techniques that we've utilized for, especially for larger, like in steeper optics. And we are utilizing some of those, but a lot of those were, as mentioned before, they were rotationally symmetric. And so you can utilize symmetry in a lot of ways. And so we are in the process of developing some different ways to do some of the more complex freeform shapes that are steep. And then, as you mentioned, might also need different coatings on different surfaces. And so right now you can do masking and then you do several different coating runs. But the freeforms do pose a lot of challenges, not only from manufacturing, but then also for measurement and, as you mentioned, coating as well. And so it's definitely an active area of research.
May I ask also to the rest of the group, like asphericon also does in-house coating, as I understand. Is ALD, so atomic layer deposition, is that a topic? Because we know it has big drawbacks in deposition rates. It's very expensive for optics. Is that something you see?
So I can mention that as well. So ALD, we currently do not have ALD technologies at Optimax. However, we've explored it several times, and it can be a little slow, but it does coat uniformly across many different shapes. And so it is definitely a possibility for certain applications for freeforms. And so especially the very uniquely challenged ones as well. So, or shaped ones, I would say.
Martin, maybe you want to comment
as a
on
question,
this?
maybe what kind of material, sorry, jumping in, for the atomic layer deposition, what kind of layer do you actually need then? Because this is something that we do supply, but typically for wafer type of coating rather than actual object. So what kind of thickness, what kind of materials?
Well, all kinds of optical thin film stacks. So it's supposed to be an anti-reflective coating, right? Let's say 6 to 9 layers. That's less than a micrometer total thickness. And of course, I think that would be the start, since ALD is known to be very slow and compared to the classical sputtering and evaporation. So that would be a start.
Okay. Okay.
Martin, would you like to comment on the ALD part?
Yes, so basically we also think it's a very interesting topic, but I have to admit, of course, this is typically something to coat on the wafers which we printed. That's happening afterwards. So if I have to guess, I think that the optics parts and guys have seen our wafers already. However, we typically are not involved at that stage anymore, but definitely it's a hot topic because there are more complex shapes which you want to have more uniform, very controlled, maybe even monolayers to change the surface property. And from that perspective, we see it. However, I think it's also something that needs further investigation, that it really enters the market on larger scale.
Especially, if I may comment quick to Martin. Well, let's say if we are talking about monolayers with a very precise thickness and uniform coating on epoxy, then the temperature is not a problem, right? A lot of ALD processes are very hot. I mean, we are talking way above 200 or more.
Yeah. So it depends. There are,
Celsius.
so it depends a lot. So there are different materials on the market. Taylor, also member of EPIC, for example, they have very nice epoxies which are reflow stable, so you can go up to 260. So I think that would fit the needs. However, there might be other materials for whatever reason desired, which might have lower limits. So material choice is always a tough topic. We have built a lot of know-how here on our own. We did a lot of learnings. That's up to the chemistry guys to solve.
It is clear that material is the biggest challenge today for me. That's quite 100% clear. But I want to go to the inspection metrology. I want to go to Taras. I want to go to EssentOptics. We are almost at the end of the meeting. I want to give you the floor now. What is EssentOptics? What kind of collaborations can you make here? And what did you get out of this meeting?
Thank you very much, Carlos. It's really a pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting. I'm learning a lot from this meeting, and thank you all for the contribution. Let me very briefly show you what we can do and what we do here for optics. Okay. Do you see the slides, right?
Yes, we do. 37 of them.
No, that's not the full number. Okay, we are from the metrology side, so we are measuring optics, and we produce spectrophotometers for coders for those companies who are using optics in their devices and need to measure their optics before using in the final photonics instruments. Basically, we have two main product lines which fit into this application. The Photon RT line is a spectrophotometer for unattended angular and polarization dependent measurements of optical thin films on flats. And then we have LINSA 150 system, which is designed for on-axis and off-axis measurements of reflection and transmission on lenses. Couple of key points regarding this instrument, which is used for flats, is that we can match the needs of customers from 185 nanometers in UV range up to 5.2 micron in infrared in a single system. And in the same system, we can do unattended variable angle measurements, polarization dependent measurements, automated beam displacement correction, group measurements,
cemented prisms of different shapes, and we basically don't need any reflectance attachments for this. Currently, our latest capabilities cover the range of angles of incidence from 0 to 85 degrees without any attachments. You can see an example of laser mirror, and the customer asked us to measure this mirror from 42 to 46 degrees for transmission. And these are the actual values we were able to measure, and the actual noise in the system we were able to get during these measurements. Typical application for flats is when you measure different angles of incidence, so you have a beam displacement, and we can cope with this, and our system can automatically control this displacement up to 60 millimeters, both positive and negative, which is a very unique feature not found in any other system on the market. Like this. So the cubes is a clear example. We can go from 4 millimeters cubes up to 70 millimeters cube in the same system, and can measure them clockwise and counterclockwise. But what's more important, and this is a particular application for AR devices, one of our customers asked us to measure these cubes at variable angles of incidence for he's producing goggles for AR applications. So that cube in that goggles was specifically measured at different angles of incidence, which we were able to do pretty well. And this is an example of complex cemented prisms which have one beam coming in and different beams coming out at different position and different displacement, which is also a very challenging feature, and we can do this as well very well. Another application which might be helpful for most of companies involved in AR and VR is measurement of lenses, different types of lenses. We can measure transmission of on axis and unattended on axis and off axis, meaning that we can basically measure the reflection from any point on lens surface, fully automatic. I will skip a couple of pages and we'll go to this picture because this was mentioned by colleagues from Balters. The question was how to code different shapes of lenses, but another stage is how to measure different shapes of lenses. So in our system, we can actually move the lens with a free axis movement system and position the lens exactly against the focusing beam in any position and measure this area of the lens very, very accurately. This is an example of off-axis parabolic lens used for specific vision systems. And we were able to measure both these sides internally and these sides externally for uniformity. And this is an example of 3D shapes which we designed as a holders to measure these lenses.
It is quite incredible. Can you comment on the accuracy?
Well, we can reach the level of at least 0.1% for transmission and reflection, and even lower, actually even lower. For our flat systems, which can go to 0.01%, so it's 99.9596, like these values, which is very good.
Jessica, we've been talking quite a lot in the previous meetings about the metrology problems that we have with freeform optics. What do you think of this? Are we in the right path? Is that something that we can use? Can we work on this?
Well, this is a slightly different topic than some of the other ones, but I mean, so this is looking at a spectrophotometer for looking at a freeform surface, which is definitely of interest, and I think that goes into actually a comment from earlier today. Sorry, everyone's faces keep moving. John mentioned earlier about looking at coatings on freeform optics, and looking at basically coding uniformity, and so something like this is definitely very helpful for that. Yeah, and in addition, yes, but Jose, yes, you're right. Metrology for freeform surfaces continues to be, in my opinion, a gating item. And I mentioned briefly earlier something about basically total error, combining both wavefront error and positioning error as well. And so it all plays in, and we're as a group, all of us are learning a lot more about how to make these a lot better moving forward.
So for me, I would like to say hello to the people in the YouTube, the seal optics especially. We discuss a lot about the need for a standard way of measuring freeforms, and I think there's something that we need to discuss in the meeting at Optimax. Definitely bring all the metrology companies together, and let's compare apples with apples and oranges with oranges. For me, this was an awesome meeting. I learned a lot, and I really identified so many ways that you can cooperate, that you can talk to each other. So please remember, Sana and me did our best sharing this meeting, making you smile sometimes, but making sure also that the 2.5 hours went really, really fast. At least for me, they were really fast. I learned a lot. So while I was with you, I was also talking in YouTube, exchanging WhatsApps with many of you, taking notes as well. So these are my learnings of the meeting. Let me take this away from you. So for me, it is clear one of the issues was the metrology. For me, the biggest issue today was the materials. We still have a lot of unmet needs when it comes to different materials, especially high refractive index. At some point was mentioned 1.9 refractive index of some resins by WaveOptics, low K nanometer scale. We need masters for the non-implant lithography part, for the replication part. We need masters, and we were talking already things that I never heard before: 15 nanometer resolution in 12 inches. So there is clear stories, but it is all going in the direction that the waveguide-based success stories, beautiful stories from Finland, from Disperix, also WaveOptics, are really great stories today. But the presentation from Facebook was very clear. On the end user side, we need to make a paradigm shift on the form factor. That was also one of the biggest points of discussion today. For that, we need to go into a paradigm shift on the manufacturing of smaller optics. And there, some of the people today, Limbach and also CSEM position the pilot line Fabulous, which is aiming towards that. And also Jabil Optics was talking, we need to help you going into the volume production, which is also one of the challenges from the Oculus side that Facebook was raising. At the same time, there was one point of discussion. We didn't spend enough time on it, but it's a huge one, which is when it comes to freeforms, having uniform coatings, and having also a way not only to have them deposit, but also to actually test them. That's also something that we need to discuss as well. Design tools. I'm amazed by the work of Zemax. Chris, you're doing a fantastic job. Also Light Tech, you're doing a great job. The idea here is that we need to communicate an easier way of having PDA kind of design. And I think that's something that together we are getting there. And I think the optical designers company like Limbach are appreciating that very, very much. It was truly great. It was a fantastic afternoon. I love these meetings. I'm having so much fun. We have 20 more to go, so it's not the end. Thank you very much for the time that you have let me pass today. Thank you for keeping the passion of photonics and optics during these difficult times. Stay home, stay healthy, stay safe, and most important, be epic. See you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.
See you. Bye-bye.